Hello everyone and welcome to my session from zero to hero with Azure Web Application Firewall. I will discuss about very interesting topics, very important topics, and you can see what is agenda of this session. First of all, I will describe in short overview what is Azure Web Application Firewall app, what is a key feature. We will discuss about Azure Web Application Firewall and Azure Application Gateway, Azure Web Application Firewall on Azure Front Door and Azure Content Delivery Network with a point of view integration and many interesting features. How we create application gateway with web application firewall using Azure portal. I prepare some useful use case in that way, and the last how to create web application firewall policy on Azure Front Door using Azure portal. That is the scope of this session. And of course, Web Application Firewall provides centralized management of protection for all web application, for the very common exploits and vulnerability. Web application increasingly encounter malicious attack that exploit commonly no vulnerability, but SQL injection, for example, very good example, and cross-site scripting. It is all very often attack in this way. And prevention and proactive approach for this type of attack in application code is most challenging. It can require very careful maintenance with the point of view patching, of course, and some monitoring tasks in many different and multiple layer of application topology with, of course, Microsoft Defense of that approach and Zero Trust approach. This centralized web application firewall help in many security challenges. That is also give some better approach for protection against advanced threats and intrusion attack. And with web application firewall, I can react to security threats many faster for centrally patching from known vulnerability. And that is a very good approach and better than, for example, situation when I have securing some individual web application. This central way it's help us, and I can deploy this web application firewall. You can see on this slide with many very good feature like and project Microsoft project like Azure Application Gateway, Azure Front Door, Azure Content Delivery Network, CDN from Microsoft. WAF is also integrate. I mentioned Azure CDN for public preview, and this feature is customized for many specific service, and you can see I can create some web application firewall policy, and after that I can customize access control with privileged identity management role or role-based access control. I can show you during the practical demo, and I can define some right limit, but very important things. Everything is compliant with the OAuth stop test protection, and I have connection with the Microsoft Global Network and the Web Application Firewall. I have public network and I have connection from on-premise with some central hub connectivity, for example, hub and spoke topology, one and more Azure region, for example, and that is approach how we define this type of and explanation regarding and of course I can define many specific use case, most malicious test of web application check of presence one or more vulnerability found. After that threat actor could use this vulnerability to run many specific attack I mentioned before, but that is for example SQL injection, cross-site scripting, for example local and remote file inclusion. That is very interesting topics, HTTP or HTTPS flood, and malicious boot attack. It is also common. And common task is for web application development cycle to involve some writing code to close the common security holes, and writing security code is requires, of course, sometimes expertise for testing. But with Azure Application Firewall, I can provide this centralized protection from my Azure hosting web application, and that is how we understand this type. And many very interesting and good feature, because it help us to evaluate Azure Application Firewall for some important aspect like manage rule. I can use in order to detect, for example, and prevent common exploit are what is create, what is maintain, what is update, what is from Microsoft security team. But with the rule change or rule set, it is modified. It is Microsoft updates with the Azure WAF automatically and simply. And of course, for example, policy, I can combine a lot of manage rule, custom rule, exclusion. In other Azure web application firewall settings into single element that is actually Azure web application firewall policy. And I can use many interesting features, parallel customers role engine like geofiltering, IP restriction, size restriction, HTTP parameter filtering. I can use conditional rate limiting for my Azure network edge, and I can use many pre-configured OWASP top 10. But we are faced with a lot of bot protection integration with Microsoft Threat Intelligence Portal, with Microsoft Defender XDR. That is very important to mention. But I can use bot rules. I can use bot rules to detect bots and protect from bad bots. And that is interesting because bad bots are detected based from Microsoft Threat Intelligence Portal, and that is important to understand. I can use, I mentioned exclusion list. I can configure this policy to ignore some attribute where this check request. And alerts, it is also important to emphasize, because Azure Web Application Firewall integrated many Azure monitors, and this integration give us very real-time alerts when we detect some threat. And common attack prevent this approach is very important topics. For example, with cross-site scripting approach, threat actor use some web application firewall to send malicious code to another user web browser after that runs the code, which gives the script access to the user session data, cookie, and some sensitive information. Session SQL injection, for example, malicious actor insert or inject some text with the specified configure to trick server into the running SQL command and attacker to access sensitive data, insert or update or delete data, or run SQL operation. That is how we understand this approach. I can use sanitize input parameter with the username textbooks, with the password textbooks, and this approach is very, very good to understand, to better understand what we are doing with the point this very, very interesting feature. And that is example that is exploit called SQL injection, and attacker can take some advantage for SQL injection and other exploit in web application that trust all input. With Azure Application Firewall, we can create barrier between web app and, for example, user input and its user input. And Azure Application Firewall assume that all input is potentially malicious, so it sanitizes this input. That is a very good approach. For example, I don't know, sanitizing the input can mean removing clearly very dangerous and malicious text elements such as comment indicator, and result input that can do not harm on the web app or backend data and everything. That is very good approach how we understand this, assuming there is username admin, that is command sign, and attacker as admin user, that is serious, very serious breach. And in many SQL systems, the double dash mark start with the comment. Everything after this is ignored. So the previous statement is echoed in the following quote, and we have admin username field and leaves the password field blank. That is how we use this approach to protect. SQL injection attempt is blocked, and with application firewall, authorize user is allowed, and we have some Azure Virtual Network and defined, and how we protect our web app. That is very, very good approach. And of course, we will discuss how it's work, because we have a lot of deployment options. That is very important. We must be very, very aware and familiar with basic feature and benefit using Azure Web Application Firewall. And now we have some approach how Azure Web Application Firewall works in many situations. And that is, let's consider how feature defined, because we must set rule and rule groups to allow Azure Web Application Firewall to help us how to protect web apps from common exploit. And that is this information help, for example, me in many useful case how to evaluate Azure Web Application Firewall. That is a right solution from many company. Deployment option, which product integration with the point manager rule, with the point custom rule with the point, I don't know which mode in many situations I can use. And Microsoft manage the rule set, the rule groups, and the rules. That is approach, and some statement like this in this slide show some of these rules and rule groups in the Microsoft default rule set 2.1. This should be some sense of depth and protection offered Azure Application Firewall. And we have also, you can see on this slide, Microsoft Bot Manager rule set 1.1, for example, boot rule detect bad boot bot, a good bot, and some unknown bot based of Microsoft Threat Intelligence integrated with some web application firewall. But I can use some custom rule. I can use match rule with I mentioned in the previous slide with the point of view geolocation. For example, geofiltering respond for many user requests regarding location where the request is coming from. Custom rule enable to define some specific path and point to allow and block access for some specified country, region, and everything. And with the geofiltering rule, I can match variable with some remote add DR or socket add DR. That is original client IP address. That is very useful to send some X forwarder for request header, and I can finally combine this approach with the request URI string condition to create some path for base geofiltering rule. With the point of view IP restriction, I can customize rule control with web application with some list of IP address or IP address range, and I can use rate limiting to control access based on matching condition. And, custom rule enable us to detect high level of traffic and block some traffic of application layer. Denial of service attack and rate limiting is also prevent to against client for accidentally situation, for example, misconfiguration to send some large volume or request in short time period of time and everything. I can use logging integration with the Azure Monitor, Sentinel, and of course that is very useful in that approach. Detection mode logs, of course, requests but allow definitely to go through, and prevention mode log is request but doesn't allow the request to go through. And I can use metric, I can use specify metric, I can use Sentinel with the Azure Web Application Firewall in many situations, but I can use specify playbook or workbook for that approach, or I can use some very good feature and template like this. In this approach, I can see, for example, I can combine with the Microsoft Sentinel some security information for WAF resources, and I can access with the web data connector to Sentinel using log analytics. Log analytics, that is a central place for our operational log or security log and everything. The WAF analytic rule detects SQL injection and cross-site scripting attacks from Azure Firewall and Azure Gateway logs. And I have in many cases I can investigate SQL injection incident on the Azure Front Door for example. That is very good approach, and I can see how many have some WAF events and with the workbook I can see a lot of visualization, very good in that way with the point of view integration. But with the web application firewall detection rule, I can detect SQL injection and cross scripting I mentioned. Web application data connector Sentinel using log analytic, it is very good approach in that way. And we are using, of course, web application firewall in a lot of specific case. I have web apps and contain some sensitive or proprietary data. That is very important to emphasis, and I can use sensitive personal information such as driver license number or passport. I can use secret company data. I can use attacker access to app to authorize user and everything. Web app developers lack security expertise with many situations, with the coding against the full range of this approach with the web application. In many situations requires significant expertise. You can use detailed knowledge on many concepts with the URI, user agent, query strings, and other variables. Server-side web technology like SQL, or HTML or JavaScript and user session and everything. It is very good to understand, and that is actually the first part of this session. The second part is with the point of view integration, how we understand actually some very interesting topics like Azure Web Application Firewall on Azure Front Door, and in this approach we have some centralized protection from our web application, because web application firewall, of course, is defense of our web service against common exploit and vulnerability. I mentioned many times, but Azure Web Application Firewall with combination Azure Front Door is a global and centralized solution. Is deployed for Azure network edge location around the globe, and that is actually inspection for every incoming request delivered by the Azure Front Door in the network edge. And with the WAF, I can prevent malicious attack close to attack source in many situations. Azure Front Door actually have many two tier. That is a standard tier and a premium tier. And after that, we have a native integration with Azure Door Premium with the full capacity. And after that, I can use web application from web vulnerability and attack to modify some backend code and application against DDoS attack. I can create WAP policy and rules. I can configure WAP policy and associate with this policy from many and more Azure Front Door domains of protection. And I can show you now this approach. For example, I have a front door, and after that I can use this methodology, and you can see I can define some contours of Azure Front Door with endpoint host name. I can define the security policy for web application firewall, and I can also define the origin of groups name with the custom domain and everything. Custom domain I can assign, of course, with provision state, with the endpoint association, the certificate type and certificate state and everything. But it is very, and of course I can define the rule sets in that approach, and add rule sets with some condition. I can set my rule name and add a rule and add condition in that way. That is how we understand this part. But I also prepare some tutorials in that way. What is the approach? I can click here and found my web application firewall policy, and you can see I can create resource. I previously create two resources. The first is from integration with the point of view application gateway WAF policy, but the second approach is front door WAF policy. Okay, I can click, for example, my web application firewall policy 1 from actually front door, and you can see many interesting approach. I can click on association, and when I click association front door profile, I can do from my endpoint and also DM com. That is two, and of course I can define some interesting custom rule in that approach. What is idea in many situations? Many create WAF policy by default. WAF policies in detection mode. In detection mode, web application firewall doesn't block any request. That is. Instead of that, request matching the web application firewall, that is the log as a web application firewall logs, and to see some action, I can change the mode settings from detection to prevention. Where is this? I can click on overview, and you can click now. I previously clicked to be in prevention mode, but I can switch to detection mode. Prevention mode, that is a very good approach, because I can create requests for match some defined rule to block and log at web application firewalls, and to create some custom rule in the custom rule section. I can select add custom rule. I can click now custom rule and add this and define some custom rule name with status with the rule type. I can match geolocation, IP address, size and strings, country, region. I can define my location, and after that I can define some condition. In this approach, I can go in a pencil. Okay, I can define some custom rule policy for block request if the query string contains some block me. Match type string, match variable is a query string, is operation is contains some match value is a block me. I can at the end deny request, and that is good approach. And after that, I can define many default sets, and I can go in this part now in order to show my manage rules and everything. This is example. I can click for my manage rule, and Azure Managed Default rule is managed by default for the premium and classic tier. You can see now it is better to zoom to see. The current DRS for the premium tier is Microsoft default rule set 2.1, but Microsoft default set 1.1 is the current DRS from the classic and Azure Front Door. To disable an individual rule, I can select checkbox in the front in the rule number to select disable at the top of the page, and to change action types for the individual rule with the rule set, I can select checkbox in the front of the rule number and select change action at the top of the page. And that is a game changer how we. But what is interesting here? This rule is only support for the Azure Front Door Premium and then the Front Door Classic tier policy. That is how I can define my trend intelligence rule group. I can define my rule set, Microsoft default rule set 2.1, and I can define many rule with the rule ID description, everything in that way. And that is actually how we understand this approach with how we configure actually WAF rule, how we configure WAF policy on Azure Front Door using Azure portal and I can manage rule, I can define many and very important part is access control, identity access management, and I can define here when I click on a role assignment, I have two tabs. The first is privileged administrator role. From, for example, I am owner, I am contributor, but on the other side, I have role-based access control role from my work, and that is actually, and I can regarding when I define some role. For example, application compliance automation administrator, I can go in the member, I can select my member. Here, it is very easy and very user-friendly approach, and click on my account, and this in condition, and with the point of view review assigned, you can see here. I have successfully add my role, and all my role I can see in role assignment, and that is job function role and privilege administration role previously. That is with the point of view access control or my activity. I can see in the activity log that is normal, but I also mentioned this. What is the next very interesting slide is actually with some. I try to find. Okay, I can share now this approach regarding how we create application gateway with web application firewall using Azure portal. This approach is very good to understand how to create application gateway with WAF, because WAF use OWASP rules to protect application. This rule includes some protection against SQL injection, cross-scripting, session hack, and I can test many in many situations to make sure to working correctly. I can create application gateway with WAF enable. I can create virtual machine using backend service. I can create storage account and configure diagnostics logs, and I can test application gateway. But I can use also Azure as PowerShell module to interact with that from Azure to us. And the first approach is to better understand, we must create some application gateway. That is very easy to understand. I have, for example, I can go here. It is better to understand. You can go click on create resource. For example, I can click on networking and I can click here application gateway. And you can see I create application gateway in a very easy way. I can define some resource group in that way. My resource group application gateway, for example, and I can define some web application name. For example, my app, app gateway. I previously created one. Maybe it's a good variant to have this one at the end. Region is US. I can define tier, for example, Web Application Firewall version 2 with auto scaling enabled. Everything can be must be default, and I think yes, I can create some policy. For example, application gateway, web application firewall policy, but for example, yes, I must have this. Okay, now it's good. And I can click OK here, and I can define some, for example, Azure to communicate between the rests. When you create it needs virtual network, we can create some virtual network. I think no, I don't create previously network, but I can use my virtual net, for example. And I can define, for example, access range 10.0.0./16. And of course, I can define some subnet with the IP version 4 address range with address scope 10.0.0.0 to that 10.0.255 on the third and fourth octet. Okay, and I can define some not default. I can define my, for example, SUG. Application gateway subnet, and for example 10.0.0/24, that is C class. Okay, this is how we create some virtual network, and I can go in my front ends. I can go in, everything is setting on the public, but I can choose add new my some public IP address. For example, my GP public IP address. I previously create some IP address. Maybe it's good to have other. Yes. Okay. and select OK. After that, I can define backend. I can define some backend pool. Now, for example, my backend pool. Backend pool. And click Add here. And after that, I can go in front ends and configuration tab, and I can define some rules. I can define my rule name, my routing rule, never mind, with some priority. I can define some priority, for example, 10. And I can define listener, my listener, 1, for example, with the port HTTP port 14. And this is okay. I also must define some backend target in backend settings. My backend settings, for example, my backend pool and backend settings. My backend settings with backend port 18. Everything is good now in settings, and I can no additional targets to this, but now it is enough. I can previously define my public IP address and front-end routing rule and backend pool. That is good. I can define some tag. For example, I created by application gateway. Review create and create. And I finally can create application gateway from my job. It takes some time, but we have actually Azure backend service subnet. I can also create some additional resources like virtual machine, install some ng nx from testing, backend servers to backend pool, and finally I can test my web application gateway. I previously created some application gateway WAF policy. For that, I can go and see my and define some custom rule and define my manage rule in that approach with the point of view of 3.2. I enable many rule ID and with description, for example, valid HTTP request line with anomaly score. I can define previously define some rule group and rule set for this approach, and I can associate my application gateway. I previously associated by I can go in, for example, select my application gateway. It is also associated in my resource group. I can associate some HTTP listener. I previously create my listener, and of course I can associate finally rule path. For example, when I select my application gateway and my listener, I can define some root rule in that approach. I can also associate that this part of, and I can define some other. With my web application firewall, I can click on direct rule, I can select signal, I can custom log search for this approach, but I can automatically go in my log analytics, but I can see all my signal for that approach. For example, delete application gateway policy. That is very important to have all notification about that application level with the status, with the events and everything. I can define some action. I can define action group. And of course, with the action group, you have, for example, action group 1 with some display name, with region like East US, we are previously defined, and I can define my notification type with the Azure Resource Manager role or SMS push notification with the name. I can define, for example, my mail address in that approach to send all information and with the notification name Azure Resource Manager role, but that is not now our focus. Name notification, for example. Okay. And I can go in the review, create finally this action group. When I create action group, I have go in details and create some rule. This is how we understand. And finally, we create alert. When I previously create, when I add backend service to the backend tool, after that I can test application gateway, and in overview I can select my resource, I can copy public IP address, I can check response from my virtual machine, and that is a valid response, verify the application gateway was successfully created and successfully connect with the backend part of connection. The last part of slide describes some actually how we deal with lot of interesting feature and interesting approach with actually now its deployment is finished, and that is very good. But I also previously shared some slides. I try to found actually yes, that is actually very important part. We have 3 pillars with web application attack landscape, and this is how we understand this part with the point of view some DDoS attack, brute force attack with network links and associated, and with TCP some flood, with UDP reflection, with application, with overstop, then with the SQL injection, cross-site scripting. I previously explained everything regarding that way with the remote file inclusion, and malicious bot is with the point of view content and price scrapers and credential stuffing is very, very important, because I can target the bot infrastructure and web application to gain some competitive advantage in that way. And this is how we understand. And the resource log for my Azure Application Firewall this is concept how we understand this with the point of view security. I can conduct security baseline for Azure Application Firewall with the product category, with access host operation system, network security, Microsoft Defender for cloud monitoring, privileged access management, data protection, use secure certificate management process and everything, logging and threat detection part, enable logging for security investigation and everything. I can use this approach in that way. And you can see now I can control a resource log from my Azure Web Application Firewall. In the properties type, I can define the resource ID with subscription and resource group. And when I create a diagnostic setting with some rule, I can definitely test with the category groups, all logs, and set everything in my log analytic workspace with the point of view integration and everything in that way. That is how we understand this approach, and actually we have a lot of interesting resources. But I explained this tutorial how to create application gateway with the application firewall using Azure portal. On the Microsoft side, you have successfully documented a very good approach with point of view documentation, all information about web application firewall, with the concept what is new, with the training, with the deployment, and the get started tutorial what I explained previously in this session. But we have how we troubleshoot web application firewall, troubleshoot web application resource logs, and frequently question. I can use a network security concept. I can use Azure DDoS protection with the Azure firewall, with the concept. You will learn about a web application firewall integration Copilot for security. That is a new integration, but with full capacity when we create some incident investigation and threat hunting with a free security consumption unit, for example. But you can see everything and very good with managed web application firewall, application gateway, and etc. That is all from my side, and thank you very much for your attention, and see you very soon on the next session. Bye bye.